Welcome back. An historic moment outside of Buckingham Palace just moments ago. King Charles III greeting people waiting outside the palace gates at Buckingham Palace as he and Queen Consort Camilla arrived back in London following the death of his mother. CTV News Royal Commentator Richard Berthelsen joins us now. Richard, I am sure that unless you were live on TV talking to someone else at the moment, that you had a chance to watch that. It was about a full 10 minutes of Charles and Camilla meeting and greeting a long line of people, something he has done scores and scores of times just in the last couple of years, right? But this represents continuity, doesn't it, Richard?
Yeah. Yeah, and it also represents a departure from the norm. Normally with royal deaths in the royal family, we've seen the royal family kind of cloistered behind closed doors, as we saw with the Diana thing. We're not seeing that this time. Charles is out in London, and he visibly was kind of taking possession of Buckingham Palace, walking in through the main entrance, really symbolizing that he has started his reign. And he is also going to be out there in the next 10 days, talking to people, accepting their condolences, and really providing a focal point for the public. This is going to be a really dramatic period of time for him as well as the country. And with that absence of the Queen at the head of it, he's playing that role.
Yeah, we're going to be talking a lot about the Queen and Charles and this, how we transition from the mourning of her into his new reign. And you mentioned Diana just a moment ago. I really can't think of many other public missteps that may have marked the Queen's reign than how things were handled then.
Well, I mean, I think there are people who look on a few things, that maybe could have been handled differently, would have been handled differently in the fullness of time with all the information we have. And actually, some people think she did the right thing during the period up to Diana, which was to stay with the boys, off the television screens up at Balmoral. So the jury's out on that. Once the Queen did come to London, it really changed the dynamic dramatically, and it set the stage for a proper ceremony for the late princess. The Queen has been very careful. She's been an evolutionary leader. She's changed the monarchy without us realizing. If anyone thinks it's the same monarchy she inherited in 1952, they don't know what they're talking about. She's done things very, very differently in the latter part of her reign in particular, and she's moved with the times, but she's always just a little bit behind it, and I think that was her prudence. Charles is going to be in a very different place, and he's going to take a different approach, and today and the next few days, watch carefully. We're going to see a very, very different kind of king than we saw with the Queen. And that's the way it has to be. He's a younger generation. He's still in his 70s, but he's still, 20 years younger. It's a different time also. And
one of the things about Charles, as Prince, environmental crusader, and some are saying, maybe he'll pull back on that a bit as king now. We need government leaders, we need world leaders, we need monarchs to be crusaders for the environment, don't we?
Yes. I mean, he is going to have to take that in a very different direction than he has. He's not going to be able to speak about it as directly. He's not going to be able to head charities that are directly involved with it. He's not going to be able to publicly browbeat heads of state and heads of government, which he's done with, let's face it, the support of many people. Not everyone, though. He's going to take a very different approach, and he knows that. And his charitable work is really at a very, very really, to be honest, it's at an end. He will have to take a very different approach with the Prince's charities. They're going to have to be wound up, and it's going to be a very different kind of Prince Charles, and he knows that, and he's going to operate more in his mother's mold as being quite apolitical.
This is why we talk to you, so we can be educated. CTV News Royal Commentator Richard Berthelsen, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, George.